Can you talk a little bit about the ups and downs in development? What's happening during those times when it feels like you're wading through mud? Oh my goodness, do we know what that feels like?
It says, Kerry, can we talk a little about that?
Yeah, and we have an hour and 20 minutes left.
We do. We have an hour and 20 minutes left of it. Okay. A little bit about it is that it can be a very, very lonely journey, and that's one of the reasons why we do Let's Talk Mediumship, to help people through. When it's going well, we absolutely love it, but when it comes to those down moments, and those down moments can come from you're frustrated with your mediumship, things are not working, you feel you ought to be further on than you are, the spirit world's not doing what we want them to do. Well, the real people, so they don't always do what we want. They're there to help and not always give us that what we would like list. But again, it can be frustrating. It's very hard work at times. As I said, it's very lonely as well. But that's all there for a reason, because it's about your education, it's about your development. And sometimes we have to not just look at mediumship as an ability, but a way of life, a spirituality. And it's all these frustrations that help us through and make us grow as a person. We're very well known for a particular phrase, which is the spiritualization of the self. That means that we've got to grow, we've got to have an understanding and master our emotions, mental thoughts and physicalities within life. And it's a very tough and lonely journey, especially when we want something or we're trying as hard as we can and it doesn't unfold. But there are moments, and this is the real unique gift of the spirit world, is when we have those aha moments or things are going right. We meet people that on this journey that have the same thoughts and understanding, and we start to call them family. So it's not just friends anymore. We seem to have a different way of thinking and understanding. So again, there's some very lonely parts, some very good parts. Especially when they give us different spiritual experiences. When we're working, we can hear the spirit world very clearly. Sometimes it's frustrating because we only feel them. And when those contacts go right, it's absolutely magical as well, isn't it? We feel on top of the world. But when they're not going so right, let's put it that way, when there's a different understanding or they're trying to teach us something, there's a human ability that we don't like to get things wrong. It seems to be inbred from us from a very early age. So sometimes we have to make mistakes to actually learn those new ways of working, because we see a lot of people saying, well, how can one contact be very, very strong, then the next one not as strong? Well, we look at it through very blinkered eyes at times, that objective evidence is the way forward. We've got to remember that there's emotional contacts that need to be done. There's those contacts from people we didn't used to get on with. So there's many difficulties within mediumship and on that journey. And the main one is really the journey of self.
And in that journey of self, we have to be aware of what's happening. And that's what Julia said, to understand what's happening and not to go in. I mean, I know we all have that tendency to go into victim mode and woe's me and it's not working and it's not fair.
I'll get the violin out.
But it does happen. Let's be realistic. We do get a little bit self-indulgent in our mediumship and our development, and that's part of it. But what we need to understand is when we are developing ourselves and our mediumship, there are two different aspects to us. So our mediumship is of the soul, and it's an ability. Some might say a gift. We would say the gift is being able to share it. It is an ability that we develop. But if the soul is the medium, which we firmly believe it is, then the soul needs to grow and the soul needs to develop, and it's the part that spiritualizes. So we can very much develop the mediumship, the mechanics, the understanding, the formal training. Many of you will have gone on courses with some lovely mediums and learnt the formal training. Well, that develops the mediumship part of you. In the background, there's the soul that's not quite caught up. So what we understand when we came together, we realized we had a similar understanding. We cannot develop spiritually, personally, within our emotions at the same time as we're developing our mediumship. we'll train our mediumship, and then there's this huge, the mediumship pauses, and there's this huge personal development, or where we go within and we have that tearful moment, or that moment where we want to throw it in and jack it in, and why am I doing it? And then we burst through. India Arie's got this lovely song called Break the Shell. And you have to break the shell to break out of the norm. That's your spiritual growth. Once that's done, you'll find that you'll go back to wanting to do more courses, wanting to learn, wanting to understand. And it is like this all through your life. You will never be the complete medium, although you will always be striving, or at least we do. But we have to understand that it is this ebb and flow. Every loss, every gain, every trial, every tribulation, every gift spiritualizes your soul. You learn. And what we find is people will be, I'm going to use this horrible thing, be spiritually there. I'm a medium, I'm very spiritual. I'm a spiritualist, I'm very spiritual. Well, I have a secret. Some of the most unspiritual people we have ever met are what they call themselves spiritual, because they've developed something and they haven't looked at the soul. So it's the soul that allows us to be at one with ourself and our God, whoever our God is, that creative force. When that happens, you will be on the natural flow of mediumship. You'll not be pushing it. You'll not be trying to get anywhere. You will just be in the flow. When that happens, that is when you'll understand the ups and downs, when you just come into a synergy, and the two, you understand that you're not going to get there any sooner than your soul and the spirit world will allow. Not even if you study 500 weeks at the EFC or anywhere else, you will not push any faster than you're able.
It's a very open question. There's lots of ways we could actually look at it.
We could talk for an hour and a half on it.
We actually could, with guide envy and everything else. My guide's bigger than your guide.
My guide's been on the earth plane longer than your guide.
Yeah, I work with Jesus Christ.
Do you? Oh,
there we go. Okay, so again, we could go there. It's a very unspiritual place, and sometimes we get caught up in that drama. Our advice to whoever's asked that question will be yourself. Be true to who you are, and do not get caught up in those kind of mind games and things. Like Kerry said, some of the most unspiritual people are in spirituality, and it is an eye-opener, and that's probably one of the biggest downers for myself.
Be yourself.
Absolutely.
You are exactly as you're meant to be. God didn't make anything by mistake.